will show you our DC motor speed controller, so you can control up to minimum 1 to maximum 100% speed you can control. You can also minimum 5 volt to maximum 230 volt DC motor. Keep in mind DC motor. Any Newton motor will use permanent motor or brushless motor or some other types of motor, but you can control only DC motor. Minimum to 5 to maximum 230 volt. Minimum current for 1 milliamp to maximum 15 amps. So in my case I am using 2 amps 12 volt motor. So that's why this circuit look like this. So if you use more than 2, if you 12 voltage is high, more than 12 volt and below them to 30 volt, then you can change these variable resistors and potentiometer according to your fixed resistor and variable resistors to your charging. But of this test it was operating in 12 volt. If you operate 24 volt, then you double this resistor with 10K, and this is double them into 2 kilo ohm. And similar to third step, just 36 volt 30 kilo ohm as well as 3 kilo ohm. So similar way you can modify this circuit little bit, modifying to get a more power circuit. All circuit is what DC. Basically the motor is. So positive supply I give 12 volt and the maximum 230 volt. After adding some modification. Positive motor positive as well as potentiometer 1 terminal, band terminal. Band 2 terminal is to the potentiometer pointer terminal, which is the transfer terminal, as well as series with 1 kilo ohm to this transistor base. It is a NPN transistor. NPN transistor base, and NPN transistor is negative 12 volt and collector is connected to motor negative. So it is a 2SC2500 transistor which can handle up to 230 volt DC with 15 amps of maximum turn. So that's why we use this. And why use this resistor? Because when you this base transistor base is serial circuit is less sensitive, very sensitive, and it needs a less current. So but you can move them this potentiometer fully. That's if you not net this resistor, that case there are transistors damage because transistor base is very sensitive. So it's protect for over turn flow to the power supply line to these 1 kilo ohm resistors, protect them, and these 10 kilo ohms for adjustment speed, and there is a motor. And now those are practical circuit. There are the 12 volt which is come for these wires, right there, and this positive wire will be there's a wire. This wire comes to a positive wire which is connected this Z wire as well as the motor positive terminal, as well as this wire which is blue wire, which is feeding to a potentiometer, and potentiometer other wires which is to connect a transistor as well as the ribbon 2 pin to connect the transistor base with some resistor. I don't have 1 kilo ohm resistor, so I use a 220 ohm and 100 ohm and 470 ohm resistor combined to make a somewhere 1 kilo ohm to a transistor base to SC2500. Right now I not connect each switch. I recommend that each switch, otherwise it can eat and burn quickly. And because I not use, because this I give a demo, it is a 5-minute demo, it is not damage this. So now this collector power supply also negative is connected to a display ammeter wire, and this collector wire is to a motor negative which is there right down there to there. And now this is motor. Focus in the motor. So motor this time I place the top volt, so I can see a motor easily. Slow, more fast, and this is a full speed. And well, slow, more slow, and yes, I think yes, it is a minimum slow rate. So it is now, it is a very slow. Well, now you can easily set the maximum speed. Now you can see it is a very noisy and to it a very high speed. So this is a basic little circuit is. So it is not complete circuit, just down the motor speed, not like this is a basic little circuit is. So this circuit I already used for my one previous project, which project is tabletop 12 volt lamp adjustable brightness one. So that case I use a PNP transistor. So which number transistor I can add the PNP transistor is the which number I have them. It is the low volt and low turn power. So that's why it can not turn the 2 amps lamp. So that's why I use replace with. So PNP transistor you can also use with high current ranging. That case you can so that the ammeter is to positive and collector is to a motor positive and motor negative to supply negative, and transistor PNP transistor base is negative. You can resistor cross tensiometer to base to ground, not a positive. So circuit is similar but they are reversed. Both in are reversed. So it's base negative by some resistors to positive and PNP test it when at the reverse to the negative. And similarly ammeter is NPN junction is connect the negative for the supply and collectors to a motor's load negative, but the PNP junction is reverse. Positive for supply is connected to ammeter and collectors connected to one load positive. There are some reverse things, but there are what in principle is same. You can use NPN or PNP anyway, but we can use I-turn transistor. So I have only one. This transistor is which is the other 2Fe25 transistor. So that's why I can use, and I recommend using heat sink. Otherwise it is too hot. Right now touching it, it is a 50 degrees Celsius, but its operating temperature is 150 degrees Celsius. So similarly, when I can run 2 or 3 minutes more, that stress in can damage it. So I recommend use heat sink. Proper heat sink and thermal compound. And this video is done with the next version.